a year. We get to another planet. And so we start doing these 1-year journeys out into these new galaxies. And we find a planet with a primitive version of human beings, like a human beings of just not even primitive, just not modern era, like a few hundred years ago, just a few hundred years ago. And then we come back a year later and they're overrun with machines and there's just a small pocket of humans left. They're just overrun with something that they created. That just took over and took off, and then we realized, like, oh my God, this can happen everywhere. And that's kind of a life form. We just don't think it's a life form because it doesn't have blood and cells. But it's a technological life form.
Then you come back another year. Now the planet is just a metallic ball that starts attacking you with weapons that you can't evade. So you barely escape. You get back to your planet, and because you have some kind of non-AI technology, you're like, we have got to wipe out every civilization that is even close to achieving this, because if they do, it's the Borg. So you do the scan.
Yeah, the Borg.
And what pops up on your futuristic display? Oh shit, there's this one. It's a third planet from that star there. They're just on the precipice of creating this fucking thing. So let's go ahead and send our Tic Tacs over there, make sure it's happening. We don't want to destroy a planet if we don't have to. Oh yeah, it's happening. Get rid of that one. And then that explains the Fermi paradox, is because anytime a planet is on the precipice of inventing machine intelligence, an invisible cosmic order that has already figured out that that's cancer wipes them out, just zaps
or
them.
Stops it from happening and allows them to smoothly transition to the next stage of existence, which they're already aware of because their civilization's already gone through it. That's the UFO folklore when it comes to the bombs, right? That they started showing up and that they disarmed nuclear missile sites. You know about that, right? There's reports from these fucking head military guys that were on these missile sites where all their power shut down, everything shut down. There's this thing hovering over their military base that showed complete control out of all their power systems.
Yeah, shut it down. Well,
and then took off. Like if I came from another planet and I wanted to let people know, hey, settle the fuck down.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. I would shut their missiles down, hover over their base for a little bit, and go, okay, any questions?
Right.
Don't fucking nuke the planet, you dipshits.
Or you might be that nice planet. It's like, go and try to it's a garden planet, these poor humans. Or you might be the Varnasians who are like, yeah, we tried that. It didn't work. And we're just going to do a pole shift. We're going to actually make it so on average, it takes about 11,000 years for that planet to get to the point where the dumb monkey descendants decide to make another machine intelligence, start doing nuclear bombs, which because of quantum entanglement cause disruptions in other planets that kill people. And also, oh great, they were going to do the particle accelerator. So you just build into that planet. Let's just make it so 11,000 years or so, there's a pole shift that wipes out most life on the planet and it just starts over. Maybe eventually we'll get a good batch. And
I've thought that, man. I think that all the time when I think about the Great Pyramids and all the ancient structures and whatever catastrophes that have wiped people out over and over again. Maybe that's like a built-in system. Like it wipes people out over and over again, including the dinosaurs. Like maybe it's partly built into the system. Things get wiped out and then they start from scratch again. Oh, we got a bad thing here. We got giant lizards just fucking eating everything.
Wipe it.
Boom!
Wipe the hard drive.
Wipe the hard drive.
Got a virus.
It's almost like the most extreme version of survival of the fittest.
Oh.
That's also why I think that people are so fucking savage. I think when you think about the level of technology and development and just what's available to us in terms of information and education and just the way our lives are so profoundly aided by technology, but yet we still live on the same planet as all these atrocities that we're talking about people in Iraq getting thrown off of buildings because they're gay and horrible conditions in these fucking mines and wars going on, the Ukraine and Russia thing. All this stuff is happening at the same, and it makes me wonder, why are we so barbaric? Well, if there really was some sort of a massive natural disaster that happened around 11,000 years ago. And it killed almost everybody. And just the people that survived were fucking monsters.
Yeah.
Just monsters. And if you think about civilization, like they follow that impact theory from 11,800 years ago, and then you start looking at around 6,000 years ago is when we start seeing evidence of agriculture and written language and crude, but also like with an understanding of the solar system, like a detailed map of the solar system. The reason they're probably the only people that survive were the most horrific amongst us, the craziest people, the people that were willing to eat people. The people that are the monsters in the movies where, when a catastrophe happens, they start turning to cannibalism.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
we're the ancestors of those people.
In the stories that Graham Hancock is so good at talking about, of like, okay, but there were some people who like managed to keep civilization intact. It collected like vaults of data, and they go and they're trying to like spread this. It's like, how many of them just like were like, what's that island you talk about it? I don't want to fuck up your joke and I won't mention it all, but the Sentinel.
Oh, North Sentinel Island.
So how many people did actually survived who didn't go Mad Max, and how many of them were like, okay, let's get back out there, we're going to tell them about we came from the Pleiades. We're going to explain to them that this happens about every 11,000 years, so we need to start working now so we can develop maybe a way to colonize the moon, get off-world, because this fucker resets every 11,800 years. How many of them were just like the same thing? I won't go into the details about that. How many of them were wiped out, were just murdered?
Yeah.
Were just killed? How many of them just didn't make it because it's like they seemed like demons to these people who had gone through hell? And how much was lost just from like purely defensive, like, Walking Dead level survivors? I love The Walking Dead.
Yeah. Well, how much was lost due to raids by warring tribes? I mean, that's the story of Baghdad. The story of Baghdad was when it was sacked by the Mongols, that the river ran red with blood. And that was like the height of the Islamic scholars, all the mathematicians and scientists that came out of the Islamic faith. They were the height of technology and science back then, and they got raided by the Mongols and slaughtered.